class. Today's homework help video is on fraction operations. So we did all of decimals, so now we're gonna start with fractions. Remember, by definition, a fraction is a part of a whole. It's not quite a whole, it's a fraction or it's a portion of a whole. Okay, and that's what it means. When you take a fraction of something, you're not taking the whole thing, you're taking part of it. Okay, and so that's all a fraction is. It's just taking part of something instead of taking a whole or the whole thing. Okay, with a fraction, you have two parts. You have a numerator and a denominator. Let's start with the denominator first. The denominator is how many equal parts you cut that whole into. And the numerator is the number of parts that are still present. So if I cut a pie into 8 pieces, to 8 equal pieces, that's my denominator. And then I have 5 of those pieces left. That's all that's left. Then my numerator is 5. So that's 5 out of 8 slices that are left. So that's the basic gist of a fraction. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is simplify fractions. That's reducing, simplifying, putting it in its lowest form. It's not changing that fraction at all. It's just reducing the numbers. 4/8 is the same as saying 1/2 when it's reduced. Half of that pie is still present. 4 out of 8 slices is the same as saying that half of it is present. I didn't necessarily change what it was worth. I just reduced the fraction. Reduced fractions are actually they're equivalent fractions, okay? So don't get that confused like we're making it smaller just because it's saying that it is reduced, okay? They are equivalent. They are equivalent fractions. When you reduce it to its lowest state, it's still equivalent to the fraction, to the initial fraction before it was reduced. All right, so reducing this means this fraction 16 over 52. When you reduce that, you look for the greatest common factor between the two numbers. So the greatest common factor between 16 and 52 is 4. 16 divided by 4 gives me 4 as the numerator. 52 divided by 4 gives me 13 as the denominator. They are equivalent fractions. 16 out of 54 is the same as 4 out of 13. Okay, they are equivalent. Okay, this is the reduced form of that fraction. Let's look at this number 2. Okay, zoom it up. All right, number 2. To reduce that fraction, we need to list the greatest common factor between the two. And notice how it's the numbers are the same, 22, 33. So the greatest common factor here is going to be 11. Okay, because remember, 1 times 11 is 11. 2 times 11 is 22. 3 times 11 is 33, so on and so forth. So we're going to divide both the top and the bottom by 11. Okay, so this is going to give us an equivalent fraction of 22 divided by 11 is 2, because 2 times 11 is 22. And 33 divided by 11 is 3, because 3 times 11 is 33. So this is going to be an equivalent fraction for 22 over 33. Okay, that is still an equivalent fraction, but it's just in reduced form. And so that's what you're going to do for all of these. Look for the greatest common factor for each of these to reduce it. Now, putting this in reduced form, this fraction is an improper fraction. So we're going to make it into a mixed number. Okay, so in order to convert an improper, and what makes it improper is that this numerator is larger than the denominator. Okay, so we're going to divide. So the top number, the numerator, is the dividend. The bottom number, the denominator, is the divisor. Okay? That's how many equal parts that you cut the dividend into. How many times will 6 go into 44? So we say 44 divided by 6. And let's try 7. So you have, move this out the way, sorry. We have 6 times 7, which is 42. Okay, so we're going to try 7, because if we go up to 8, that's going to be too big. 48 is going to be too big. So we're going to put 7 here, and this is 42. When we subtract, that gives us 2. Remember, the remainder is going to be the numerator. So we got 2 left, and the denominator stayed the same. So we got 2 left, and remember we cut our equal parts, the denominator, the equal parts were cut into 6. So you have 6 slices, and out of those 6 slices, 2 are left. So we got 7 whole, 6 out of 2. 6 over 2 can be reduced though, okay? So let's reduce 6 over 2. All right, so let's divide. What's the greatest common factor between 6 and 2? It's going to be 2, okay? So when you divide both the top and bottom by 2, the whole number stays, of course, is 7. The numerator is going to be 1. 2 divided by 2 is 1. And 6 divided by 2 is 3. So we have 7 and 1/3. Okay, 7 and 1/3. All right, so please make sure that you show your work. Please make sure that you show your work. Okay, so they, for each of these, they're might be asking for something different. Like number 5 is asking you to find a common denominator. Okay, and we did that when we're adding and subtracting fractions. We take the 3 and the 7, the denominators here, and we find a common denominator between 3 and 7. And that's going to be the least common multiple. Take the highest number, 7, and you're going to say the list the multiples of 7. The first multiple is 7. 7 times 1 is 7. 7 times 2, the second multiple is 14, and so on and so forth, until you can get the least common multiple, the number that 3 can go into. Both numbers can go into without a remainder, okay? So you keep going and doing that. And you rewrite each of those fractions. So you're going to do the same thing for number 6. Number 7, when you're comparing fractions, you need to write them both as decimals. Line it up by the decimal and see which one is either going to be less than, that's the less than symbol, greater than, or if they're equal to. So you're going to divide to convert these into decimals and see which one is less than, greater than, or equal to. You're going to do the same thing with number 8, the same thing with number 9 and 10. To put numbers in order from least to greatest, you convert them all to decimals and then line up by the decimal to see which one is the smallest. Put that one first, all the way to the largest one. And you're going to do that for number 12 as well. If you have questions, please make sure that you text me and remind or ask me in class, okay? But do not leave any of your answers blank. You need to try all of your answers. You can't, however, you can take a picture of your work and remind if you have a question about one, and I'll be more than happy to help you in that way, and I can easily send you something back in remind if you have questions. Okay? All right. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Bye, y'all.